want you to hit me as hard as you can.
We'll tear your soul apart.
I've seen things you people wouldn't believe.
Now the dream is over. It's acted away.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Talking Movies. My name is Josh.
I'm Clay.
And I'm Randall with the Punk Rock Review.
And I hope we all are wearing our nipple clamps because we're talking about the 2019 finish. It's from, is it Finland?
I think so.
Well,
Finish.
if you give me a minute, I'll finish. The
finish.
I was all worried about monetization.
Let's go for it.
They went for
The
it.
Finnish film, Dogs Do Not Wear Pants, or don't wear pants, and which is a fact.
Joskus olisi vaan kiva tehdä jotain ihan muuta. Jotain tavallisia juttuja. Eikö sustakin?
Kuultiin, en mä pidä tavallisista jutuista. Tuhma koira.
Clay, this was your pick, so give us a little rundown and explain this strange title.
It is Finnish. I picked this movie. I love the human connections in it. You know, obviously it's very obviously metaphorical that there's healing and human connection.
Mm-hmm.
And this person experiences it in a very unusual relationship, you know, kind of an offbeat relationship, but I think they're becoming more and more common these days, sort of unconventional, you know, dominant sub relationships, if you will. But anyway, he sort of just stumbles upon a solution, which is sometimes like the way life is. You just sort of like you follow your nose and then things happen. And next thing you know, you're feeling better, right? You might have been in a bad way before. So I really like this movie. It deals with a lot of like emotional trauma, a lot of, you know, family dynamics around the relationship, a lot of like kind of coming into your own identity and self-realization in a very weird way. You know, there's some pretty intense scenes in here. So I don't know. What'd you guys think?
So go ahead, Josh.
I liked it. I liked it a lot, actually. I wasn't sure what I was gonna get. But no, I was very surprised. I quite enjoyed it. It gets dark, but I thought it was going a different direction at the end, and it didn't. And I really kind of liked the whole message of it where it ended. So, Randy, what were you gonna say?
No, I should have spoke up first because I was gonna say I bet Josh liked it. Because that's why I was grinning, because I was looking at you trying to figure out what you were thinking, but I knew it because so I will frequently ask Carissa, hey, I gotta watch this movie for the show, do you want to watch with me? And then she's like, show me a trailer and I'll say yay or nay. And so I threw the trailer on, and she loves foreign film, and she's also watched a lot of really weird shit with me. So she's not squeamish to like this kind of movie, right? But we're sitting there, we're about, I don't know, dude, like maybe 30, 40 minutes in, and something happened. I had to pause it so she could go do something. And I can hear her chuckling. And she's like walking down the hallway, and she goes, this was Hugh's pick, huh? And I was like, seriously? And she's like, oh, did you pick this one? And I was like, no, it was Hugh's pick, but that was good. Good job. No, it was his. But so she didn't get to finish the very end. And so when she asked me, hey, what happened at the very end? And I told her, she was like, damn it, I should have just watched it, because she likes the way that the movie wrapped up. So I said all that to say that subject matter, I like it. The stuff that happened with the people, I like it. I'm into weird shit. I'm not squeamish. I'm not embarrassed by none of it. I'm very execution, wasn't into it. It just bored me to tears, man. Like I get it. I like the story. I just didn't like the way that they presented the story. I thought that the story was very compelling, like very, very compelling. It was just, I like fucking pig slop, dude, and it was just like too glossy for me. And I thought that, man, they could have put some, like, if I would have made this exact same movie, like Josh would have hated it. The reason that I knew he was going to like it is because it was like well made.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It was well made. It's just not, but is it like good or bad? That's a whole different like conversation. Mm-hmm. I think it probably is a good movie. Like I would say it's very well made. And I love the subject matter. I like the dad was awesome, man. I think because I thought like, I get it, man. I get it, dude. Like I related to that man in a way that is honestly kind of uncomfortable. I've lost a lot in my life. I lost a lot of people that I loved in my life. And I get it, man. I dove into drugs pretty heavily. I wish I'd have found some weird BDSM shit instead, because maybe I wouldn't have liver and kidney issues now. But I get it. Like I so got it. I was like, man, I just, so like, does it matter that the execution wasn't really for me? I don't think it does really.
I mean,
like,
honestly,
I got what I wanted out of the story. So
I read a lot of Letterboxd reviews because I actually got into, like, when I was writing my review initially, I got into an argument with somebody that was like, oh, it doesn't represent the lifestyle well, and the business of, you know, this isn't represented well, and he crossed boundaries he never should have crossed. And so there's all these like little, and I wouldn't say they're not unfounded complaints, just like you were kind of like,
it's fucking
the execution.
fake.
Yeah, the executions, and somebody said the exact same thing, and I was kind of like, yeah, I can see, like, they wanted the boundaries to be pushed a little more, and it really, you know, kind of fell flat to that regard. But I still think, like, for me, you know, it did what it needed to do. But I would say that your kind of gripe with it is a common one. So,
okay.
Yeah.
And I do want to be very clear. I thought the movie was actually objectively good. I enjoyed. I didn't even dislike the stuff that it didn't do for me. I don't know how to explain it. It's a very weird category that just fits in. Like, I think I might even want to own this movie, but it's not one that I was like, fuck, that was awesome. But like, I just totally got it, man. Like, even to the point to where his relationship with his daughter starts to split off, and I totally was like, yes, she needs to hang out with that kid because I think he really likes her. And yes, he needs to go do what he needs to do, because sometimes you got to do for you and not do for them, because it's fucking healthy. And I think people should watch movies like this, so maybe they'll help them work through some shit. Like,
right. There
was some stuff that was like, you know, I'm an immature person, so there's stuff that I was giggling at, you know, right? But like overall, like sitting in a room with my friends, I can watch this movie. That doesn't bother me. The only thing that I really did get irritated by, the actual like real thing I would actually gripe about, was that when you said a minute ago that it didn't represent this, I hate, and this isn't just this movie, it's most movies, how they represent tattoo culture. It bothers me. Like, it bothers me a lot, because tattoo shops aren't dingy and dark. They're very well lit. They're very clean. But you have to have light. You can't tattoo somebody in a dark ass room. So
and
I just
hate dominatrix in the back.
Okay, so
room.
That actually isn't quite true, because at two shops that I worked at, one they had suspensions and like doms upstairs.
Okay.
And the other one, they had a room where shit got filmed. So, but these are like set aside. They're like very much that part of it was actually pretty accurate. It's like a whole separate spot in the same building.
Yeah.
But like, fuck, you don't go to the tattoo shop and be like, are you in here? I can't see you. Like, it was just, but that's every movie, dude. It drives me nuts.
It's dramatic lighting. You know, it's a look. You know,
I liked the characters. I liked the acting. I liked the lack of dialogue was actually pretty nice, because it's not in English, so I could focus on other things.
Yeah, that's true.
With their body language and their facial expressions, because there's a lot of like up close face on all of them. And I liked that, because it doesn't have, I don't have to go, let me read this real quick. No. I was just like, oh, I get it, man.
Yeah, you can read their face. Yeah.
Even like as much as he was like pressing his thumb, I was like, oh, I've actually smashed my thumb. Not related to a BDSM session or anything, but unfortunately, but I smashed my thumb, and I remember like how that felt. And I was talking to Chris. I was like, ooh, I've had that same bruise with my thumbnail coming off. And I was like, I remember how that felt. And I did the same thing. I would press on it all the time, even though it hurt really bad. But Yeah, man. The characters in this movie I thought were great. That was my only gripe is that it wasn't made in a way that I enjoy. But other than that, I thought it was awesome. So I don't really know what that means.
I'm guessing it's the more of the pace of it, just sort of.
The pace was rough. The dialogue was like, it was just, I like more sloppy, you know, I want faster pace, and I honestly want like less quality. I want, you know, worse acting, shitty dialogue, and I'm like, okay. But other than that, but yeah, this movie was done very well. The more I've sat on it, because I watched it yesterday, so I had a whole day to sit on it.
Right
when I was done with it, I was like, ugh. But then, like, as I've sat on it, my thoughts have changed on it. It's weird. It happened quick. It took me like less than a day before I was like, I don't know, man. I kind of liked it because I liked everything but the delivery. Well, that means I liked it then.
I have a common gripe with like the tattoo parlor stereotype. You know, the same could be said of like that subculture stereotype where the person who is involved in that type of activity has been abused somehow or has some like really deep-seated damage to where they're just a messed up person and that's why they like these proclivities. And I'm like, man, that's not always the case, but that's how movies represent the subculture, right? So I feel you on that one. And that's why personally I like this movie a lot, is because, you know, I sought out a lot of these themed type movies to try and find one that I thought was pretty good for a while in my life. And you got the comparative 50 Shades of Grey or like Nymphomaniac and like stuff like that. It's good, but the message is lost in a lot of the graphic nature of the film. So this film had less graphic nature, even though it pushed the limits of the extreme with the asphyxiation and stuff like and the tooth pulling. But at the same time, the story was still intact to where it wasn't really like shitting on the subculture in general. I felt like so.
Yeah, that's kind of what I liked. So it was reminding me at certain points of that movie that you lent me, the piano teacher, a little bit. It sort of had that sort of Haneke tone a little bit, and I was wondering which way it was gonna go. Like, is it gonna go like the super dark, bleak direction? So when it didn't, and it's sort of like a joyful or like a an acceptance, at the end, that I was really relieved by that, to be honest.
I saw that coming, actually, because I was like, okay, since what other way would you surprise an audience, right? Because everybody was expecting it to go left, and so, well, do you just go right and give it a reasonable ending? That's like, and I was like, oh shit, and I was like, nothing bad's gonna happen. That's gonna surprise me, and then I was like, I was also waiting, and then I was like, son of a bitch, nothing bad actually. This is crazy. I was like, motherfucker. I actually thought the ending was great. I thought that I liked that he smiled and just kept dancing and was like, fuck it, is what it is, bro. And I was like, you know what, dude, I feel you, man. Like, that guy, he was a goofy bastard, man, but he was cool, dude. He loved his kid, but he needed some help, man. And he had dealing with loss of a wife, bro. I can't even imagine. Like, she could go to fucking Australia for a month and I would be in some real trouble. Like, so,
I'm kind of surprised that you liked him, because he's sort of a meek, pushover.
I think I just felt bad for him,
kind of character. And a lot of times you really hate those people. So.
No, I really do. Well, you know what it was that I liked about him though, is that he had the courage to go do this shit. Because man, I can't imagine what that's like to have that be your thing, right? We've all got shit in our closets, dark desires and stuff, but like, so like do that and then have to go at that age, figure that out at middle of your life. Oh shit, this is what I like. And then now you got to go and scratch that itch. And then you go, and then you got coworkers butting in your business. Your daughter's asking you things that you really don't want to like close her out, but you're like, oh, I don't want her to know about this. It's none of her business. She's like a teenager. And then how do you, so I did kind of feel bad for the guy. Plus, again, man, I've dealt with loss, dude, more than I'd even want to think about sometimes. I'm like, fuck, dude, I've lost a lot of people that I know. And, as you get older, my mom loses friends, I would say, regularly at this point in her life. But I'm 42 in a few weeks. I shouldn't be going, in the past 10 years, I think I've lost 11 people. Like, that's crazy, dude. So I just felt so bad for him. I just felt so bad. And like, when the girl starts crying at the pier, I didn't know what was going on, dude. I was like, what is happening right now? And then he takes off running, and I was like, oh, she must have bumped her head or something. Did she get caught up? Let's talk about that for a second. What happened at the beginning of this movie? Did she get caught in his net?
It doesn't really explain.
I think it's like a net. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think she's underwater and there's just like a stray net that she gets kind of wound up in, and then he dives in to save her, but she's already long drowned, right?
Right.
And he's in the medical profession, so obviously he would be able to resuscitate somebody or perform some type of medical miracle potentially, and just couldn't do it. So that I think added to the additional like responsibility that he felt for the whole thing, right? That he couldn't save her on top of
I didn't even think about that part of it, but yeah, the fact that he's a doctor, he saves people for a living, it haunts him that much more because his loved one he couldn't.
That's a good point. I just was so flabbergasted by how they lost her. I was like, oh my goodness, like. Can you just imagine how the kid feels? And I was honestly a little surprised that their relationship wasn't even worse.
Right.
Because that would just fracture a family, I think. Or it would either do one or the other. It would either completely blow it up or it would completely bring it in. But I don't think there's any, like, they had a pretty normal relationship still.
Yeah, it felt kind of real. Like she thinks her dad's kind of a dork, but she still loves him.
Yeah.
I struggled a bit with their relationship on and off because I've seen this movie a few times now, but there were times when I got a little pissed off at him because I was like, man, you need to let this relationship go by the wayside and focus on your daughter. But then other times I'm like, it is really time for her to kind of spread her wings and get her own relationship and, put her attention on, and she's having this self-discovery phase at the same time he is. It's, I don't know. It's a good, but there are times it's pissed me off. Honestly,
I've found myself at that same crossroads, not in real life, but in the movie, and I was like, okay, how should I react to this dude? Doing this stuff and like letting her. And I was like, man, she's a fucking high school kid, dude. Let her be her. And I was like, because if you don't, and you don't, take care of you, how are you going to take care of somebody else? It's just like when you go to like therapy and they're like, well, if you don't love you, you can't love your wife or you can't love your husband. It's the same thing, man. If you don't take care of you, your mental health won't be there, man. Mm-hmm. Me and Chris are going through a lot of like just stuff right now. Nothing bad, but there's a lot of like, fuck, man, we got to get this addressed because we're having just these righteous communication issues still. And it's just like, bro, how many years are we going to have this? Because I'm losing my mind, and I don't know that there's fault to be laid at somebody's feet. It's just life, and so it's like we got to figure this out, and so we got to figure out how we can talk to somebody or something, whatever. So you got to take care of this shit before you can take care of all your family, man. It's impossible to take care of that when you're all fucked up.
As simple as that message is, like I used to hear that when I was in therapy, and I would always be like, yeah, like you got to figure yourself out first. And it took me a long time. But now I'm like, now that I understand myself a bit more, and it took me like being alone and like sitting alone and being like, what now? What direction am I going? What does my future look like? What are my goals? Stuff like that. And then I think just being alone gave me like a real sense of how to handle myself. Like, and so like as simple as that message is, when I've heard it before, Randy, I've always been like, yeah, whatever, like fix yourself first, my ass. But it's true. It is.
Being by yourself is pretty scary. So like, I totally don't.
I'm an introvert, so that's the way.
Yeah, that's true. So that's how Carissa is, and that's where we have our issues.
Yeah,
well, that's why we run into these stupid problems, because I don't know how to not talk about shit, and she doesn't know how to talk about shit. So like, if we have an issue, there's some times where I'm like, no, we're going to talk about this, and that's not the right answer. I need to let her the fuck alone, and I don't know how to do it. So I'm not even placing blame. We both need some help figuring out how to. But it is what it is. Life, man. It's whatever. So I'm just glad none of us are going through the same kind of hurt that dude was going through, because he just felt, I would imagine, because it just jumps from like her being like 3 to being like 15, right? So there's like a 12-year can you imagine how lonely he was for a decade?
Yeah.
And just work, home, daughter, and eventually she doesn't care anymore. So she hits teenage years, she don't even want to be there. Bro.
Well, the beginning of the movie, like right after they make that jump in time, like he's talking to one of the guys at work, and then he's like, "Yeah, we're gonna go do this weekend. You want to come?" And he's like, "No, I got other plans." And then he's just home, jerking off by
Oh,
himself.
that's right.
And he's just folding his laundry and ironing his shirts and stuff, and he's totally, yeah, exactly. I'm an introvert. I'm a natural introvert too, so I know how that is. You need alone time to recharge and all that stuff. I get that, but
I think
Carissa will Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, Carissa, Josh, what he said, it made so much sense because she'll go, "Hey, can I go introvert for like 15 minutes, please?" And I know what that means. I know that means just go sit. She'll go sit in the fucking dark and just lay on the bed. And I'm like, I've walked in and be like, okay. And just close the door. I'm like, "Hey, are you okay?" She's like, no. I just was like, and I'm like, I can't even, dude, if you told me to go lay still for 15 minutes and not talk, I don't think I could do it.
I think about you a lot. I'm like, man, Randy, he goes to the club and he meets all these people. He's like a minor celebrity, and he loves
exhausting.
it. And I'm like, that shit is not for me at all.
Bro, wait till you see the pictures I'm about to post on Instagram, bro. I took like 50 pictures with people the other night.
It's so cool. I mean, I live sort of vicariously through your experiences sometimes because I'm like, I would never do that shit. I don't want people to be like, "There's you." I'd be like, "No, I'm not here. I'm not. I'm gone."
Dude, and the thing is that I go out and I feel weird, man, because in my group of people, everybody's always stoked to hang out, right? So we see them, they're like, "What's up, fool?" Like I'm not popular. I'm not the cool dude. I just know a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I'm in the public eye a lot, so I get recognized by people. I was at the shop and those kids came in with their brother, and they're like, "Oh shit, I know you. You're on YouTube." And it fucked me up, dude. I was weirded out by it. I was like, it's happened to me 4 times now, and it's still every single time that's ever happened to me, I'm like, I don't really know. I mean, it's just a very immediate spark of that's cool, and then I'm immediately what do I do? How do I react to that? Because they're
I don't know you.
Yeah, dude, that's how it is. But
it's
fuck
kind of
channel
cool,
you
though,
on?
man.
No,
cool. I think, and you lean into it, and I like that about you. I would absolutely not.
I lean into it because I think, man, how fucking cool is it that people care about what I do? That's why I lean into it, because man, this 17-year-old kid thinks I'm fucking cool. I'm not, so I better fucking be appreciative. So that's kind of my thought process and all that. And I'm not gonna act like I don't want a certain amount of attention. Of course I do. I drop 4 videos a day. The fuck are we talking about here? But I don't know that I want fame out of it. I just want success. I want, measured success, something I can obtain. But I just hope this movie was, I don't know how long it would be before I could watch it again, because it was very hard to sit through based solely on the fact that I fidget a lot. I just can't, this movie didn't keep me. I was looking at Carissa probably, I don't know, 30% of the time. So,
I think that's what Josh said. He's surprised that you found this character interesting, given the fact that he is, a little bit the opposite.
It was a pity thing, man. I felt bad for the guy. Not in a shitty way. I just felt bad, man. I can't imagine that situation, bro. Certain things hit me, man. Certain things just crack through the shell, and I'm like, oh, what? Why? Poor bastard.
There's a certain point though, towards the end when he, after he goes to the hospital, and then he's stalking her because she doesn't want anything to do with him. I'm like,
no,
all
that
right,
stuff
bro.
angered me. That stuff irritated me. I'm also.
That's why it's he's spiraling.
Yeah.
Is he gonna just end up, killing himself?
Well, that's yeah. Well, when she said that in the hallway, I was like, oh man, because you remember we had these conversations a year and a half ago, and I was telling you guys dude, this kid dropped this note in my inbox, man.
Yeah.
And it was some self-harm shit, and I just wasn't. I didn't even know how to react to it. It had me in tears. I was like, I don't like this. I can't handle that. And I, again, related to her. I'm like, dude, there's boundaries, man. You have got to figure out the boundaries and stick to them. Like,
I think that's a difficult situation given the fact that his interests are so extreme, right? I mean, you can't just go on the street, and he tried to meet somebody and like coach them into, here's how I want you to treat me, right?
that
And the
woman
chick
laughed
was like,
in his face, bro.
like it just wasn't
Oh
working.
my god, yeah.
I
And
was like
so-
embarrassed watching that. Like, oh man,
yeah,
like
She's laughing at
kind of
him.
that's the difficulty
Wow.
is like now he has this very niche kind of interest, right?
dude.
And to go out and find that somewhere else and somebody else is probably impossible. So he's stuck pursuing this chick because she's the only one really who could immediately fill this need. Otherwise, he's going to have to, find somebody else, interact with them, lay the foundation. It's the same thing we go
Right.
through with every kind of breakup, right? You're
Yeah.
like, man,
Right.
I've established all this base with somebody and now it's gone. But
That's
this is this is even more kind of niche, I think. And that's what sort of adds to the frustration and the stalking and that kind of like really erratic behavior.
Is there a movie, one of y'all might know the answer to this, where a guy pursues a woman, has a kink, the woman laughs in their face, maybe multiple people do this to them, and then they become either a assaultist or like a murderer or anything?
It's probably some sort of horror movie, right? But
I'm sure I could find you one now that I'm acutely aware of that.
I mean, well, the reason I ask is because I think that should be a movie if it doesn't exist, because I think that's a very real thing that whenever he was getting like laughed at by that woman, all I could think about was like, oh my God, is he going to kill her? Because dude, humiliation is very powerful. Like some people like it. Some people really, really don't. And some people are very ashamed of their desires and stuff. I mean, can you imagine if you were into something that I don't even know? Can you imagine if you were into anything? What if you were gay and you were just like super ashamed of it? I can only imagine how fucked that is. And then to open up to somebody and they're like, ha ha. You're like, you're like, oh yeah, motherfucker. Well, I can't have you telling people about this shit then. Crack. So I was wondering, like, that's when I thought, is the movie going to take a dark turn? And then it was kind of like, oh, he's really just trying to soul search here. He really needs some fucking help. I'm like rooting for this poor bastard by the end of the movie. And then I thought that the Dom woman was far, far more attractive with her hair down and the makeup off. Like as soon as she took her hair out, I was like, oh. I was like, you went from like a 6.5 to like a 9. What are we doing?
Well, like the pale makeup and stuff kind of.
Not really for me.
The picture on the poster, I was like, is that a guy? I was like, I wasn't totally sure.
Yes, bro, that's awesome.
But in the movie, it's like, oh yeah, she's attractive. She just
I like when
got a little weird
I
stuff.
like when they're in the lobby at her apartments and he's talking to her, but he's like at the door and he's like, I'm not trying to be in your space here, but I need some help. And then she like finally goes, and she's like, all right, down. And then he comes crawling by that guy. He's like,
yeah.
And he just looks up at him and he's like, sorry, buddy, I'm into this, dude. I was like, you know what?
Like, I know that's my neighbor.
He's got more courage than I'll ever have, dude. Like
that whole interaction is the best part of the movie to me. When she pulls his tooth and she's like working on it, and then she's like messes with the dog or something, and she's working on it some more, and then she comes back and I'm like, oh my God, just pull that tooth, lady.
So was she not really trying to hurt him, and she just wanted to see if he was going to bluff, and then he was like, fuck it, go ahead and hurt me? Or I couldn't really figure that part out. Is she really into hurting people? Or because she's a dumb, so there's a certain amount of that she's into.
I think she was proving a point. I don't really know.
That's what I thought. I don't think she really wanted to do it necessarily.
Yeah, I think she was being territorial with her house and to mark him in a way that was irreparable, like pulling that tooth that's not going back in. Right. So it was kind of like, look, he crossed the boundary with her, and so he had to pay.
Dude, all the shit that happened in that movie, but the one time that I was like, oh, was when the dog ate the tooth.
I thought that was hilarious.
Dude, I was just like it's just like the whatever it is that does that to me is just nasty. But dude, at one point I was like, sitting here, and then you just hear like this trickle, and Chris and I was like, oh, is she peeing?
Yeah.
And Krista was like, she is. And I'm looking at my wife like, I cannot believe you're fucking watching this with me. This is amazing. Dude, hey, look, dude, for all the communication we don't do very well, she's fucking awesome, bro. She'll sit through and watch just about anything with me.
I was just sitting there before we started. I was sitting at the table eating dinner, and I was telling Tori the whole story. I was like, you should have watched this with me. You would have probably liked it. I was like, oh, it's a little dark, maybe a little too dark, but
next thing you know, you come home and Tori's like, I got something for you to wear, bitch.
Yeah.
Throws a collar at you. You're like, oh,
dogs don't wear pants, bitch.
Dude, I was trying to figure out, my goal was to figure out where the name came from before I watched it, and I was nowhere close, dude. I wasn't even on the same planet, dude. When it happened, I was like, oh, of course that's why they named it that.
I kind of had an inkling that's what it had to do with.
I felt dumb when I figured it out. I was like, I should have known that.
But I do think it is a bad title. Like, I
hate the title, but whatever.
It's too long. Yeah.
Well, it doesn't tell you anything about the movie, really. Like, if you don't have context, you don't. What does that mean?
I feel like they were like speaking to a culture of people, because there's probably people that read that and went, yes, and they grabbed it like knowing exactly what that meant.
Maybe in Finland. They know what that means, but I mean, I'd heard
maybe San Francisco.
Oh, yeah, bro. I had heard about this movie, and I'd heard positive things. Like, it's 2019; it's not that long ago, so I'd heard about 5 years. It. Yeah, I guess, yeah, it is 5 years.
Crazy, bro.
That's crazy. But yeah, I'd heard about it and heard good things, and I never hit play because I was like, that's kind of a dumb title. I don't know about this movie,
Yeah.
I had the opposite. I was like, that sounds crazy, and I tried to watch it and couldn't get through like the first 20-30 minutes of it.
Yeah. I was surprised that it hooked me a lot quicker than I was expecting, and to me, it was compelling. I'm
very glad I watched it early. Very glad that I was able to marinate on it a little bit, because I really, truly, when it was done, I was just like, but like the more I think about it, because I feel like it was almost anticlimactic because it was too accurate to what might really happen. Like, that might really happen. That exact scenario could easily happen.
Yeah.
That all stuff happens, and then she's like, no, you have to come here to this thing in order to be like accepted into this culture. And then she's like, I don't even see you around there. You're just this fucking weirdo that comes over here and bothers me all the time. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh no, you are one of us. Maybe I can have you in my circle of people, and maybe we're not going to be that relationship, but we don't have to be enemies anymore, Because she was scared. She was getting freaked out by him. And she's like, man,
yeah, of course.
This guy's, she's a tough lady too. Like, freaking that woman out is probably pretty difficult, I would imagine.
Well, he was using it, to see his wife, so
yeah,
it was helping him in a way, but it was not, it wasn't healthy, No, it started out as something just to, very selfish, I guess. I don't know how to say it, but it was just such a steep decline. Like, he wasn't doing it in a healthy way,
No, but I felt so bad because the reason he was doing it was like
sort of pure, right?
I don't know, man. Maybe I just have like an empathy for something the guy was. I don't know what it is, but I felt so bad for this dude, and like I understood it. And then I will say this: when she was covering his face with the bag the first time, and I don't know what kink I got going on to make me want her to do this to this poor bastard, but I was like, oh, dude, take something phallic and shove it through the bag, like to open the bag,
okay.
And like just fucking choke the shit out that guy. I think he might like it. I don't know, but I said phallic just to be stupid. I meant what I was thinking in the movie is like, stick your finger through there to open the bag instead of pulling it off, because that might be a little more dramatic. I don't know.
I think you were touching on something that I really wanted to talk about.
My
I
wiener?
don't really know how to. No.
That's the after show.
I think like that can happen with any intimacy, right? You start to use, or men especially, you start to use the intimacy just sort of for your own personal gratification.
Oh, for
and you
sure.
Sort of objectify the person, and then you're expecting things from them in sort of like a transactional sense, or just just for your own gratification, right? And
Right.
so you're using that person, and there's no, like, the connection is sort of wonky at that point. And that's what I really liked about this movie to begin with, was the connection led to the healing. But he started to really go down a road where he was abusing the connection, and it was sort of
Right.
like it wasn't being used properly.
That's a perfect way to describe what I was trying to say. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up, man, because I wanted to talk about that.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was really cool. Like when it happens the first time, I'm like, oh, this is because his wife drowned. Like she was asphyxiated. This is, his way to connect with her, and that never.
Oh, I never put that together.
I didn't put that together either.
Oh, really? Like
no.
I thought I was stupid because it took me a few minutes to figure that out, but I was like, oh, this is why this is his thing, because when he's asphyxiating, he's in the lake with her, under the water.
Oh, that makes so much more sense now.
That's trippy, man.
Yeah.
I felt weird whenever she put the glass ball in his hand, and I knew exactly why. I was like, in my head, I was like, should I? Like, is that weird? Like, I was like, oh yeah, oh geez, I know that why he's got that in his hand.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know until I knew.
You get too many tattoo parlors, bro.
yeah. I like that search for, like, what's it called, dude? There's he was looking for something, and I feel like I don't know, it's like a freedom. I feel like maybe he wasn't even that guy before he lost his wife. Like, had his wife been alive, even if he had stumbled across that, he might have been like, not for me. But it's like he had all this pain. The only thing to match that pain is more pain. It's more like cancels it out, kind of. You know what I'm saying? And then, when you're in a club like that, dude, I've been to some clubs like that. Like, for real, in Houston, they have them. I've been to some clubs like that, and people, when you're in those places, people don't give a shit about judging you. So there's a certain amount of freedom. That's kind of what I liked about it. I had these two friends, man, and I can't even remember if they were out, but they were very much gay. And they would always be like, hey man, if you come out with us, we'll buy the drinks. And I was broke. I was like, fuck, I'll go. Where are we going? They told me, the first time they told me, I was like, where's this? And we went down there, and I was like, we walked in, and I was just like, yo, I'm not prepared for this, bro. Like, I don't know if I can hang out here. Because it was just like, it wasn't quite to the extent of where that guy ended up. It wasn't far. And it was like, I mean, it was like, dude, it was like numbers on steroids, bro. I was like, I walked in and I was like, holy shit. And then but everybody was so damn nice, dude. Like, I was just like, I was like, oh, dude, within 30 minutes in, I'm like sitting at the fucking booth, like smoking cigarettes, two dudes, like basically having sex next to me. And I'm like, oh yeah, what do y'all do for work? Like smoking cigarettes. They're like fucking, hold on a second. Oh, I'm like, oh jeez, bro. But like, it was just, it's like, but like everybody there was in a good mood.
Yeah.
Probably all high. But like, dude, whenever we left, I felt like, I don't want to go back to a normal life. Like, maybe that's why I don't get uncomfortable around shit like that. I've been around it, bro. It was very odd the first few times I went, but like, it became, very comfortable, and my friends really appreciated that I went with them. And, it was, it never had me thinking no shit. I would never question it myself or anything, but I was definitely out there chilling, having a good time. Hell, I met a couple of females back there that were nice, man. So it was just a wild place, but I can only imagine what that would do to you if that's what, like, you needed that, and then you find it, and you're like, holy shit, it's like when I go to the punk rock show,
Right.
Anyways.
Right. No, yeah, it's a community. Yeah.
I think I just felt bad for that dude, and I was happy for him when he found the place he needed. I don't care what the place is.
Yeah.
It could be a bingo parlor. That's your jam.
The fact that he just kind of stumbles over it too. He didn't even know he was looking for it.
I had no idea.
Found something that he needed that he didn't know he needed.
What is this? Smack. Yes. I mean, what? Huh?
And that's how things like that happen. I think. I mean, you don't necessarily go searching. I mean, just in that particular instance, but you don't necessarily go searching those things out, but they just kind of, you stumble across them.
I would imagine, based on my personal experiences with just being an adult, most people are exactly that. They don't know they're into something until they've didn't know I liked that.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then the shame is real, especially, living in the South. People are real uptight out here,
Yeah.
So, like, you don't know. And half those uptight people are into some shit. And that's why they're so uptight, because they're just embarrassed and not comfortable with their own skin. And it's just, life is a funny, funny thing, man. It's a weird journey. This movie affected me in a little bit of a weird way.
Yeah. When we've talked about it for 40 minutes, too.
I was going to comment on that. This is probably the longest conversation we've had about a single movie in quite some time.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Chris is going to pop on here with like a leather dog mask and a chain on his neck. I'm like, oh, shit. Clearly you liked it.
Well, I got my nipple clamps on. You guys just can't see.
Cock ring on? Yeah, mine too.
Yeah, absolutely. Butt plugs in.
I was going to say, you hear like a little, zzz, what is that? I'm like, nothing, bro. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, bro.
It's about the connection. It's about the human
solid flick. It's funny because I think that I liked the movie about 6.5 out of 10 upon watching it, but like the longer it goes, I'm like, nah, probably like an 8.5 now. Like I don't. Yeah. I think I'm quite a bit higher.
Yeah,
it's one of my all-time faves. I'll tell you, I probably watch it once a year. Yeah, it's a good movie. It represents well. It doesn't get too wild and crazy. It still has a nice, romantic connection.
That's a big
plus.
You
want it a little more wild and crazy, but
no. But that's a big plus because this is like a really good entry-level movie for people that might want to watch something like this without being just thrown into the fire. It's like a little bit of a baby step in that direction. You can say, okay, I watched this. Do I like this or not? And I think I would rather stay with like Halloween and Friday the 13th. Or you could go, okay, now I need to get on Google and look up some more stuff, find the directors that do this kind of thing, go find this extremity stuff over in France, find that. It could just it's just like any other subgenre of music or movie. You just, I now realize that I'm interested in this kind of movie. But it's without all the vulgarity and stuff. That's the word I was trying to come up with, is vulgarity.
Oh, sure.
There wasn't a lot of vulgarity in this movie. There was some intense spots. I didn't find the movie very vulgar.
Nudity. I don't.
That's what I'm saying. Like I don't think there was much vulgarity in the movie.
Well,
I think there's some bare ass or something, but I don't think there's.
I think you see his peen a couple of times.
Do you? You see some ween?
Yeah, but seeing that and it being vulgar, I think are very different, right?
No. I agree. I agree with you. I don't think it's vulgar at all. There's no like graphic sex scene or anything.
That's what I think is clever about it, man. I think that makes it even better because you're like, well, because like as an example, if it was really graphic and lots of sexual stuff happening, what's the word? I guess graphically, out in the open on the screen, I don't think Krista would have watched it. She would have been like, yeah, it ain't really for me. I'm gonna go finish doing what.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So because it was a little more subject matter's heavy. The intent is there. They leave a lot to your imagination, but
it's a little
we'll rein it in a little bit so a broader audience can experience this movie. Because I think this is pretty acceptable for, say, a 20-year-old to watch. Now, 18, 17 maybe, if that's the right person. A lot of these movies aren't, dude. I wouldn't let my kids watch them until they're out on their own, living on their own. You go find it yourself. I'm not going to have you around it,
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, good pick, Clay.
Thanks, man.
I really enjoyed it.
Appreciate the conversation. It was good.
Yeah.
Glad I didn't blow this one.
No.
No superstar here.
I was like trying to figure out what I was going to say. I was like, man, what am I going to say about that movie? And I'm telling you, bro, it took about a day. It took a little while for me to kind of think about it and think, because some movies I'll watch them and then they're in and out, and I don't like, whatever. A lot of them, even stuff I like, but like sometimes the movie will just kind of sit with me, and that character sat with me. The father, I was just like, because I think that the world needs to be a little more open to accepting. People need to be a little more okay with people being different or weird, whatever the word is you want to use. I think weird's kind of a mean one, I guess, but like, dude, do you, man? Like, you don't have that guy wasn't shoving his life down nobody's throat either. So it's kind of nice to see a guy just being himself. I don't know. The world's in a weird place right now. I might have liked this movie way less 10 years ago when I was wild and doing crazy shit.
Yeah. I agree.
So we're watching Smokey and the Bandit this week, huh?
Yeah. Actually, I didn't even think about the connection, but my plan was to pick Hardcore, the Paul Schrader movie.
Nice. I haven't seen that yet. It's on the queue too.
Yeah, I know you and Chris had both wanted to see it, so
Hold on.
and I just watched it a few months back, so I figured
You liked it.
I liked it. Yeah.
Is there proclivities in this one too?
Yeah.
No.
No, it's more
There's no dogs.
general about the porn scene.
Oh, this is from like the 70s.
Yeah. Yeah, George C. Scott. It's got a lot of like Taxi Driver DNA in it because he wrote that movie.
I like it.
And it's what he did like a few years later. So
is my pick next?
I think so.
Okay. I couldn't remember when I picked a movie last, so I'm trying to figure out. I want to pick out some. Oh, yeah, that's right, because Chris did Warriors, then this one, then Heart. Okay, yeah, got you.
Yeah, that's
okay.
right. Yep.
Let's see.
Hardcore. I think it's 1980 or something.
79.
79. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that movie sounds like 8mm, but like its cousin.
Yeah. So the guy's daughter disappears. She goes on he's a very religious guy. His daughter goes on this like church retreat and disappears, and he gets a PI to investigate and finds out that she shows up in this 16mm porno, and she's out in the LA porn scene all of a sudden. So he's like on a search to find her.
Shit.
Yeah,
that'll hurt a dad.
Oh yeah.
Bro, who you telling?
That'll make you wonder what you did wrong, fathering.
Yeah, no doubt.
That's hilarious.
No doubt, it's quite a journey.
Give me one second. Anybody watch anything else this week? I watched something else.
I'm trying to think.
I watched a couple things. Let me think.
I watched an anime show called Girls Last Tour that was just a banger. It's
Okay.
It's like a post-apocalyptic manga-based anime. It's pretty emo. It's kind of like they call it meditative anime or morose anime. But it's like, really simple with its themes and really impactful. I liked it a lot. I'd say absolutely.
I wish I could get into anime stuff.
It's not for everybody though. I can't.
Yeah.
It's not like I could tell everybody about it and they'd all agree with me. They'd be like, "Man, that was boring." And
there's some I really enjoy, but I'd say it's like a 1 to 100 ratio. It's very annoying because a lot of people I like that stuff, and I don't have any desire to watch it.
Yeah,
bro, I'll tell you,
Same.
6 months ago, I was like, I ain't watching cartoons. That was like all my thing. If it's a cartoon, I am not watching.
You've been watching a lot of it, man.
Wait, you just started watching this shit 6 months ago?
Maybe a year ago. I
Yeah,
watched
yeah,
like it started with the. It started.
I
with
thought
the
you've been watching
movies.
this stuff forever.
No, I hated it. So it started with the movies. I think it was like Suzume, and I saw like maybe one other movie in the theaters. And then I took my daughter to see Totoro, like all the Hayao Miyazaki ones. We saw a lot of those, but I was never like really sold on them. And then all of a sudden, I guess I'm running out of content. I started watching some of these animes my kids are recommended, and I'm like blown away at how awesome they are. So yeah, recent development. And before, like I said, I was like, I'm a grown man. I don't watch cartoons. Like, this is a freaking cartoon. I'm not gonna watch it. And now I'm like, oh, dude, Girls Last Tour. Oh, it's my favorite. The little ding, 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 ding songs and stuff. I'm like, I'll take it. It's awesome.
I'm looking for some real scumbag shit to watch right now. Sorry, Josh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I'm kind of similar to Randy. Like, I just can't. It doesn't connect.
Dude, I've tried, bro.
I don't know why.
Can't do it, man.
I've watched a couple of the Miyazakis with my daughter, and those have been the things that I've probably enjoyed the most. And it's partly because I think I see my daughter enjoying it, so it's connecting for me in a little bit different way. But in general, like we watched Perfect Blue, and I like that, but it still didn't just like click. It's not. I can't find the entry point for me.
I feel you, man. It's A Perfect Blue is the exception to the rule, but
Yeah.
I would never have gone to the theater to watch an anime on my own, but now absolutely I will.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well,
Yeah,
maybe it may happen for me one day. Just gotta find the right thing, and then the
just run out of
floodgates
stuff
open.
to watch.
Bro, I will never have that problem.
There's never. I have the opposite problem.
Me, I'm with Josh, dude. I have far more shit to watch than I have time to watch it.
Well, like I love like 70s movies, and there's a million like
I'm like a decade later. I'm like,
exploitation.
let me have the 80s stuff, and there's like 7,500,000 bazillion of them.
One of the things I watched this week is a movie called Prime Cut. It's from 72.
Okay.
And I just saw that it was Lee Marvin and Gene Hackman. I'm like, well, I didn't know that they did a movie together. I have to watch that. And it was not an amazing movie, but it was awesome. Like, because I love those guys. And
that's pretty dope.
It's just like Lee Marvin, being a cop, going after Gene Hackman. He's a bad guy, and he's like, he's got like a prostitution ring and all this stuff. And it was just it's Sissy Spacek's first movie too.
Dang.
Oh wow.
And she's very naked in it, so that's cool.
She's such a good actress.
She is.
I don't like her.
I used to not like her.
I don't even know why.
Now
I don't even know why.
I used to think she was a terrible whiny actress when I was a kid, and now I'm grown up.
Really?
And I'm like, she's amazing.
She's got sort of, especially when she's younger, she has sort of a dreamy, ethereal, like sort of
meek.
Yeah, I like it though.
I do too.
I don't like her nose. It's always bothered me. I don't know, dude. Like, I don't know.
I like
man.
your nose. It's always bothered me.
Me either, bro. It's fucking huge.
With you.
So I'm very excited to tell you guys about. Well, it doesn't matter, man. I'm fucking stoked, dude. I released this record 20 years ago, and we're fucking putting it on vinyl, man. I just wanted to tell you guys, like, in person, like, to your face, because I'm fucking so excited about this. I've been wanting to do that. I've been wanting to do this for, like, dude, since it came out, I wanted to do vinyl, but it's got something to do with horror movies, so it's film related. I mean, the best song on here is called Fulci Lives, and it's very much what you think, dude. Everything on this thing is about movies. It's City of the Living Dead, Fulci Lives, Night of the Whores. Hugh's favorite movies, Demons. I mean, this is dude. I can't.
Is it all like Italian movies?
No, dude. These are the guys I was telling you about that I said when I said I wouldn't know Italian horror if it wasn't for my friend Josh and Steven. Yeah. That's these two guys, bro. I wouldn't know. Dude, I wouldn't know. I would be stuck on Texas Chainsaw Massacre if it wasn't for these two dudes. Gotcha. I think the first time I ever heard the word Fulci was because of them doing a song, and I was like, "What the fuck is Fulci?" And they're like, "Lucio Fulci." I'm like, "I don't know what that is." Like, you come over to our house. They were the first dudes I ever met that had walls like this full of movies and shit. And it was just VHS tapes, fucking ceiling to floor, whole walls of that shit. And they had this big projection, big screen TV. And every weekend, dude, if there wasn't a punk show, we'd go to the Grave Robber's house and we'd all watch horror movies all night and just, do other things. But it was fucking fun, man. And, yeah, dude. I just happened to run into the guitarist and was like, "Hey, what's up, dude?" And I was like, "Hey, Hell to Pay turns 20." And he's like, "I was gonna ask you about this." And I'm like, "What? What are we doing now?" So let me see how much money I can spend.
That's awesome, man. I think it's really
for you. I love the vinyl idea. I was really hoping you'd put some vinyl out, and I was, I'm just super excited for you.
Dude, I'm about to have to look for some investors, dude, for real, because I got to put out like 3 pieces of vinyl, and I need a fair amount of money for that. And I'm not really sure how I'm going to go about it yet, but they're not all like at the same time. But I'm waiting on some quotes from the pressing people right now. I mean, it's happening regardless. If I have to put it on credit, I will. It's that important. I mean, dude, you only live once. Credit cards are fucking whatever. I don't really want to use them, but I will. So do not tell my wife. But
It's
Well,
on YouTube.
it's all on YouTube. So
I know, right? Man, I'm kind of excited to watch this movie, Josh. I didn't know when you said it. I was like, and then I saw the year, and I was like, and then I really like 8mm. So like,
okay.
if this is like a similar like vein, I'm in. I'm interested. Well, I mean, I don't really fuck with like 70s movies the same way that you do. I like some of them, and as we watch more together, I like them more and more. But I want to thank you guys because I didn't watch season 2 and I didn't start season 4 of True Detective because of y'all, and I feel like I dodged a bullet because I finished season 1 and season 3, and I'm like, you know what? We're 2 for 2.
Mhm.
Why fuck that up? Why? Let it go.
Season 4 is a real drag. It was starting to pick
Is it
up,
really?
and now I feel like it fell right back
Oh,
into.
no.
It's just I really want it to work, but it's just not for me. And I know a lot of people like it. I'm sorry. I know people like the show, and they relate to the characters, but I just don't. I just am having a hard time. It's not because they're women. It's because they make really
the
bad
detectives women?
decisions. Yeah,
Is Jodie Foster and
And
somebody
another
else? I
person.
forget.
Well, that's just unbelievable, man.
And they
I
do
don't
a
have any
great job
desire-
with their characters. It's not so much that, it's like the writing and the characters themselves.
I mean,
It's
I'm
not
of the
actors. It's the characters suck.
well,
They do.
I'm of the opinion that women would make terrible detectives, but that's
Yeah.
just me.
I mean, we all like Silence of the Lambs, but you know,
I
we
mean-
know that was the most unbelievable part of that whole movie.
God dang, man.
Dude, I'm so glad that you took that baton and ran
We're
with
getting
it.
demonetized. There's gonna be the comments.
Dude, that's exactly what we want, dude. I
Wasn't me.
Exactly.
I did some shit the other day. I made a video and this guy said something. Huh?
I'm trying
pointing
to
at
point to
me?
Josh, but it's not
Me.
working.
Oh.
It's like looking into a mirror trying to point. But like,
I made a video and made a very intentional like clickbaity title, but the whole point was that if you listen to like even the first maybe 60 seconds of the video, you would understand even why the title was what it was, because there was definitely a point to it. But some guy was like, "Oh, look at the guy! Look at the old guy that buys his patches from Hot Topic and makes clickbaity titles." And I was like, okay, is he
Couldn't
talking
be
about
farther
me or
from
somebody
the truth.
else? And I was like, fuck, dude. And I was like, well, he's an old guy. It has to be me. And then I was like, well, it worked, didn't it? And he goes, nothing that you did worked. And I was like, then what are we talking about? And he's
How
like,
are you talking to me on my video right now?
dude, he was so dumb that I was confused. I was like, wait a minute. What is going on? But like, I was like, don't tell everybody where I got my Grimple patch. Hot Topic. Come on, man. But yeah, that's what we want, man. We want people to hate us and why. I don't even care at this point. I'm fucking
cares?
don't give a shit.
Yeah,
Hey,
who cares?
I got to get off of here. But before I go, I want to tell you that Willie D of the Ghetto Boys just said that some African countries are shutting off their entire internet due to interference from the western part of the world. Like they're tired of it. I wonder what countries that is. Is that like a Middle East stuff?
Crazy. I
Dude,
don't
can
know.
you
I don't
imagine like one
know.
day you're like some 16-year-old kid, you're like on TikTok looking at fucking dance moves, and all of a sudden, no, you can't even do your homework? Shit. Oh, I guess they probably don't have that kind of homework over there now that I'm thinking about it. But I don't know, it just popped up and I thought that was very, very interesting. Dude, the world is in a weird, weird place right now. I am not very comfortable.
That's true. That's very true. All right. Hardcore next week. See you guys
Tell
later.
Chris to get out of the puke room. All right, guys. Later.
Bye.
Holla.